Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Just Listen to One podcast. And in this podcast, I'm going to be talking about this couple who had 69 children. Their names are Fedor. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing their names wrong, but Fedor and Valentina. I don't know how to pronounce their last name, but I'm going to be talking about these two who had a total of 69 children. So let's just get right into this podcast. This one is going to be about the woman, Valentina. The 18th century Russian woman who reportedly gave birth to 69 children. She holds the world record for most prolific mother, as she allegedly gave birth 27 times to 69 children between 1725 through 1765. In 1725, a Russian peasant gave birth for the first time. That alone would not be worth not noting, except that she purportedly went on to have 26 more pregnancies. In all, she is believed to have had an eye-popping 69 children, thanks to births of twins, triplets, and quadruplets. Today, she even holds the Guinness World Record as the world's most prolific mother. The site notes that this seemingly improbable and statistically unlikely story is true based on the contemporary sources which seem to have documented her many pregnancies. But is it physically possible for a woman to have nearly 70 children? The 27 labors of her. According to BBS, the records of an 18th century Russian monastery reported that she gave birth 27 times between 1725 and 1765. Those 27 labors left Russian peasants with 69 children because she had multiple births. Over a 40-year period, she properly had 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 quadruplets. That adds up to an all-astonishing 69 children. And if it's true, then she spent much of her life pregnant. According to Guinness World Record, she gave birth for the first time around 1725 and for the last time around 1765. That means she would have spent 18 of 40 years pregnant before she died around 76. Perhaps even more incredibly, most of all her children are believed to have survived. In a 1782 reported to Moscow, the manuscript of Nichols notes that just 2 of her many offsprings died in a miscarriage. As incredible as her story may seem, there are a number of sources which suggests that she had the most children born to one woman. In addition to the monstrosity records sorry guys, I can't talk today for some reason again. Stated by both of the records and the BBC. There are also contemporary press accounts of her 69 children. In 1783, the Gentleman's Magazine discussed the claim that her husband Fedor had not only 69 children with her, but 18 more children with his second wife. In the original letter, now for me, the magazine writer noted, dated St. Petersburg, August 13th, 1782, O.S. Fedor Vassilyev, age 75, a peasant, said to be now alive and in a perfect health in the government of Moscow, has had by his first wife 4 times 4 16, 3 times 7 21, 16 times 2 32, 27 births, 69 children. By his second wife, 6 times 2 equals 12, 2 times 3 equals 6, 8 births, 18 children. The writer continued, the above relations, however striking, may be depended upon, as it came directly from English merchant at St. Petersburg to his relatives in England, who added that the peasant who was to be introduced to the Empress. By today's standards of evidence, a second-hand story from English merchant may seem dubious, but many other contemporary sources mention I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but it says their last name. Many children as well. In the day of February 27th, 1782, the list of monastery came to Moscow, containing the information that the peasant of the Showa district, Fedor, married twice, had 87 children. The author reported in an 1834 book. His first wife, in 27 confirmations, gave birth to 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. His second wife, in 8 confirmations, gave birth to 6 pairs of twins and 2 sets of triplets. Fedor was 75 at the time, with 82 of his children alive. However, while Fedor's name was attached of these stories, Valentina often went unnamed. In fact, there is some doubt of her first name even was. And despite of sources about her pregnancies may also doubt if that's even possible for one woman to have 69 children. Would it physically possible for a woman to give birth to 69 children, especially in the era before modern medicine? From a scientific perspective, it's certainly possible for a woman to be fertile for 40 years old. It is also not impossible for a woman to have 27 pregnancies during her fertile, I can't pronounce that word, years, although her final pregnancies took place after the average age of menopause. And it's also possible to have multiple sets of births. A condition called hyperovulation causes some women to release multiple eggs during each menstrual cycle, which increases the odds of multiple births. Perhaps she had such a condition, though, given her husband's track record. It also seemed that multiple births ran in his family. That said, could a 18th century Russian peasant survive 27 high-risk pregnancy, including multiple at advanced maternal age? Natural would want to make limits. Stanford obstetrics professor Valley Baker said, according to History Daily, pregnancy is the most physical, rigorous thing a woman's body could go through. But while it's possible she survived 27 pregnancies, it's statistically unlikely that she would have had so many multiple births. Northeastern University professor Jonathan Tilley, who researched women's fertility, even just a 16 sets of twins, I'd be shocked. And it's also unlikely that so many of her children would have survived. But the end of the 18th century in Russia, over a quarter of children died in infanticide. Given this, her children had surprisingly good rate. That's especially true since twins, triplets, and quadruplets have an even higher rate than single babies because they are often born prematurely. Even if you had 4 sets of quadruplets today, I'm not sure they'd all survive. Cigars explained in 2015. Also, so it is possible for her and Fedor children had such a low maternal rate at a time where more than 25% of Russians' children did not survive. That is overall it says, because the rest it's pretty much repeat. I'm gonna be talking about a little bit more about Fedor. After this ad gets away. Okay, what it says, Fedor, and then his last name, which I cannot pronounce. The man who fathered 69 children. One child can be a handful, and each additional one adds more responsibility and even stress on even the most handle of parents. Families can come in all sorts of sizes, but eventually a lot of parents ask themselves, how many kids are too many? For the family, the answer was quite unique. For them, 70 children would have been too many. So Fedor and his second wife decided to stop at 69. This might sound unbelievable, but there are some evidence that Russian peasant Fedor really did fathered 69 children with his wife. The article will look deeper and seemingly impossible claim. Fedor was born in 1707 and was a peasant in the town of Shua, Russia. Not much is known about his early life because his fame came much later. The prolific Fedor was the humble farmer, and if it had been for the large number of children that he served, his name would have been lost in history. But he made a legacy unlike any other. One might think that Fedor's wife should be one whose names is remembered in history. Unfortunately, her name was been lost to time. Some resources suggest that her name may have been Valentina, but there is no concrete proof of this. Since we don't know the first name, which we do now, but all the information we have about the family comes from what we know about Fedor. That doesn't diminish the record that Valentina holds through. She truly had 69 children. Then that means she holds the world record of the most children born to a single woman. She lived to be 76 years old. Despite her holding the record for the most children before, she was actually the first of Fedor's two wives. Once she passed away, Fedor remarried and had a large number of children with his second wife as well. Still, even the number of children he had with his second wife pales in compared how many with his first wife. There we go, it's not stuck anymore. Oh no. There we go. Fedor and his first wife were said to be actively having children between 1725 and 1765. So they had the first wife, Valentina, and Fedor had 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. I'm just trying to make sure that there's no repeats. To put this into perspective, 1 in 250 births on average are twins. Even rarer are triplets, which is 1 in 1,000 births, and the rarest of them all is quadruplet pregnancies, which occur in 1 in 700,000 pregnancies. These incredible called into question the veracy of Valentina's records as the woman who gave birth to most children, but there are some resources to back the claim. We will even less is known about Fedor, Fedor's second wife. We definitely don't know her name, or as long as she was married to Fedor, but we know that there must have been a significant age between the two of them. If the first wife of Fedor's was 76 when she passed away, it's easy to imagine what Fedor was similar age. His second wife had been much younger to bear children, not just one or two. In typical Fedor's fashion, he and his second wife had 18 children. 16 sets of twins and 2 sets of triplets. His second wife had 8 pregnancies and births, results to 18 children in total. I'm just making sure I'm not repeating myself because I said some stuff already. Looks like that's just about it without any more repeats. And then the third site, before I click the video for you guys can listen to, I'm going to name all the Fedor and Valentina's 69 children and their names. So sit back and, listen. I'm going to start with 1 and go all the way up. Allison, and then William, aka Wills, Isaac, Cora, Elias, Malcolm, Miranda, Eleanor, aka Neely, Georgiana, aka Georgie, Genevieve, Thomas, aka Tom, August, aka Gus, Isabel, Christian, James, Kalia, not sure how to pronounce it, Jonathan, Charles, aka Charlie, Binaka, Beatrice, aka Tracky, Tricky, I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, Irene, Diora, Felicia, Hazel, Ivy, Juliet, Kira, Linda, Naima, Adsa, Rosen, I hope I'm pronouncing these names right, Sabrina, Tatana, Vivaline, Veronica, Arthur, Benedict, aka Ben, Cedric, Dean, Samuel, Finn, Jinden, Henry, Kiernan, Lakenland, Nolan, Oscar, Percy, Robert, Vince, Theodore, Valentina, Anna, Anastasia, Abram, aka Bram, Emily, Ella, aka Amy, sorry, Margaret, Victoria, Helena, Alexa, Elizabeth, Esther, Angelica, Philippa, Galati, Yale, Yevine, Paloma, Stefan, and Charlotte. That's all their 69 kids' names are. Some of them, just the spelling of it, I did not how to pronounce some of them. I'm sure it's like much easier to, know what their names are if it wasn't spelled a certain way. But now the last part of this podcast, I am going to have you guys listen to this video, and after this video is done, then the podcast is done, so you guys know. So let's just get right into it.
How many siblings do you have? Could you imagine sharing a house or bathroom with 68 brothers and sisters? Well, the Guinness World Records does mention a lady who lived in the 18th century that gave birth to 69 kids. Valentina Vassilyev was the first wife of a peasant named Feodor Vassilyev from Shuya, Russia. The family lived in the 1700s between 1707 and 1782. Valentina is believed to have lived until the age of 76, and during her life, she'd given birth a whopping 69 times. That's more than any other woman. One pair of twins didn't make it through infancy, but the remaining 67 did grow up to be adults. Their father, by the way, married a second time and had 18 kids, 12 twins and 6 triplets with his second wife. 15 of them survived, so he was a father to 82 kids. The Guinness World Records calls Valentina the most prolific mother ever, as her record is still unbeaten. According to reports, she'd gone through 27 labors. 16 of them resulted in twins, 7 in triplets, and 4 in quadruplets. Yes, that's 4 babies at the same time, 4 times. Now, how is that possible? Did she just get pregnant once every 3 years? That would have made things easier for Vasilieva, but let's remember, a woman isn't fertile her entire life, only from her early teens to about age 45. Apparently, Valentina was a lucky exception and had 40 years of fertility that lasted from 1725 to 1765. Doing the math, she'd have around 1.5 years for every pregnancy. This may seem enough at first glance, impossible at second glance, and really dubious at third glance. So let's do some more calculations. You might know that an average pregnancy takes 40 weeks. However, the more children you have in the womb, the more likely it is that your labor will come earlier. According to the BBC, who became interested in the matter, believing it would have been all over the tabloids in 18th century Russia, did some math for you. They estimated that Vasilieva could have had 37-week pregnancies with the twins, 32-week pregnancies with her triplets, and 30-week pregnancies with the quadruplets. If you add all this up, you get 936 weeks. There are 52 weeks in a year, so if you divide the resulting numbers, you get 18 years. That means Vasilieva spent almost 2 decades of her life with a bun in the oven. That's a lot of time craving pickles and ice cream. While theoretically, Vasilieva had enough time to carry all the babies, there are a few more facts that make reproduction experts question the whole thing. First of all, although there is such a thing as multiple ovulation, when a woman's body releases several eggs per cycle, it isn't the most common thing in the world. It only happens in approximately 5 to 10% of all women's cycles. There's still a chance Valentina was just a unique phenomenon, a really special one, by the way, if she managed to avoid the vanishing twin syndrome. This is a phenomenon that happens when one of the twins, or several in the case of multiples, gets absorbed by the placenta, a stronger fetus, or even the mother's body. The syndrome is pretty common in multifetal pregnancies and occurs in 21 to 30% of cases. Secondly, pregnancy and labor is a challenging thing for a woman's body. And when pregnancies go one by one, less than 18 months apart, the risk of complications increases, both for the mom and for the baby. A woman's body just doesn't have enough time to recover from all the changes caused by the previous pregnancy and restore all the nutrients it lost. Now, if 2 back-to-back pregnancies are already risky, imagine having 27 of them without any time to rest. Lastly, imagine life in the 18th century Russian countryside. They didn't have the luxury of modern medicine. At that time, every pregnancy was a risk. Add the fact that they were also peasants and had to work and take care of the children at the same time, making sure to have enough food and clothes for the whole crowd. Considering all that, how could anyone believe this really happened? The scientific community is doubtful, but there are historical records that can serve as evidence that this couple really did have 69 kids. More specifically, the Nikolsky Monastery sent a document to Moscow on February 27, 1782, that proved Feodor Vassilyev had 82 living children from 2 marriages. This document was published in 1834 in the book The St. Petersburg Panorama. In 1783, the Gentleman's Magazine published an article regarding the Vassilyev's case. The author said that this superfertility may come from the man singly, or the woman, or both jointly. But it's more likely that the reason was Feodor himself, since the story repeated with his second wife too. In 1878, an article about the family was published in The Lancet, one of the world's oldest medical journals. It claimed that the French Academy of Sciences tried to investigate the case and addressed the Imperial Academy of St. Petersburg. They were told the Vassilyevs lived in Moscow and received favors from the government. Records and articles are all good, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it's natural that people want to see a photograph of that impressive family. There is one popular image that's often thought to represent the Vassilyevs, but this is actually a mistake. That picture shows the family of an American, Joseph F. Smith. He was married 6 times and became the father of 45 biological and 5 adopted children. And if you think huge families are a thing of the past, you'd be mistaken. Michelle Duggar didn't give birth to 69 kids, but 19 is still an impressive number, right? Together with her husband Jim Bob, they became famous in the US thanks to a TLC show called 19 Kids and Counting. Christy Kaysen and her husband Dave from California have 17 kids together, and Christy gave birth to a total of 18 kids so far, 1 from her other marriage. The family also starred in a TV show that gave an insight of what it's like to have over a dozen kids. For example, they have to do laundry 7 times a day, and even the smallest grocery shopping involves at least 2 shopping carts. Bringing Up Bates is a reality TV show that's still running and tells about the life of the Bates family that have 19 kids. Giving birth to them must have been quite a challenge to their mom, Kelly Jo, because there are no twins or triplets in the family, and so she had to go into labor 19 times. One of the frequently asked questions to the family from their fans is how many pizzas does it take to feed them all? The answer the family shared in their blog is 9 large single-topping pizzas. The biggest family in the UK is that of Sue and Noel Redford. The couple has 21 kids and lives in a 10-bedroom house to fit that huge family, even though the 2 older kids don't live with them anymore. The couple had planned to have just 3 kids, but apparently they just couldn't stop. And they're already grandparents to their oldest daughter's 3 children. Finally, the largest family in the world has 180 members. 74-year-old Zayona Chana lives in India in a house with 100 bedrooms with his 39 wives, 94 children, 14 daughters-in-law, and 34 grandchildren. Even though none of his many wives gave birth to an astonishingly huge amount of kids, Zayona is still a father of 94, and that's pretty impressive. He believes it's both an honor and a responsibility for him to take care of such a huge family. So, Do you believe the story of the woman who gave birth to 69 kids? Or are you still skeptical about it? Let me know down in the comments.
So let me know what your guys' thoughts on that video that you guys just listened to. If you guys like this podcast, let me know. Today's podcast, let me know by liking, subscribing, etc. And if you guys have any ideas on any topics or people that you guys want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. I would appreciate it. And I will see you in the next podcast. Bye.